Tuck in your bootstraps. It's yet another big story.
Last week at D All Things Digital, a conference that's held for a bunch of tech luminaries, Ari Emanuel, a Hollywood agent, top Hollywood agent, who was the inspiration for the character Ari Gold on Entourage, took Google to task on stage, saying, look, you guys need to fight piracy. How come you can fight child porn and not piracy? In a later interview, two representatives from Google went on stage and said, he's misinformed. It is different fighting copyright. You can't just look at something and say, oh, that's copyright infringement, because you have to find out who the owner is, and you have to find out if it's fair use, and you have to find out context, and was it licensed, even if you're not the owner. Whereas child porn, you can tell pretty carefully, pretty easily, whether it's child porn or not, and remove it from a search index listing. So Ari Emanuel wrote back a blog post responding, saying, I am misinformed about a lot, just ask my wife, but I'm not misinformed about this. One of our last remaining dominant American exports is our creativity, no matter how you define it, either as a story or as an algorithm. There is equal genius behind companies like Apple, Facebook, Amazon, and Google, as there is behind artists who create stories that resonate around the world. We need to protect America's intellectual property, and Hollywood can't do it on its own. I understand that the onus is not entirely Google's, but let's stop talking at each other and get in a room with all the parties to figure this out. To be clear, I don't want to rehash SOPA, as we can all agree that was a reflection of Southern California's arrogance. And let's also not pretend that we're working together on this issue because we have YouTube channels together. This is a larger conversation. It's time for Hollywood, our government, and Silicon Valley to step up and collectively resolve this problem. Let me know where and when, and I'll be there.
I don't even know where to begin. I mean, I don't define the problem and define the solution. Is the problem that piracy exists, and to him the solution is, I don't know, do your techno wizardry and then piracy goes away? If so, that's an asinine position. There's no way that's going to happen, and there's no amount of being locked in a room together that's just going to, like, come on, people, think. Let's stop this piracy thing, because there's 20th percentiles of profits that we're not squeezing out of this. I don't understand. It's making me mad thinking about it, to be honest. I mean,
it's actually, you know, here's the thing. It's a very well thought out post. It's actually the right thing to say if there's a problem. Hey, come on, let's get together, guys. You guys have issues, we have issues, let's work them out. I love the tone. I love the rhetoric. I think it's well written, but it makes the same mistake that every discussion about copyright is making, which it doesn't define the problem. You nailed it. The first thing out of your mouth, what actually is the problem? And the thing is, when you ask that question, a lot of people jump to the conclusion that you mean there isn't a problem, and we should just let piracy run rampant, and that everything should be free, and where hippies take off your shoes, put on your sandals, let down your hair, and put on some beads. That is not what we're saying in any way. What we're saying is, let's define the actual problem. What's the harm we're trying to solve for? Because when you keep that amorphous, you end up with things like SOPA, which Emanuel admits was a bad idea because you're overcorrecting. But if we don't actually start with figuring out, is there copyright harm? If there is, how much is it? We can't figure out what the solution is.
Yeah, I think you made clear to me why I got mad. You're right. The letter is elegant. It's a let's get together as a team. It's got the right spirit, but it's all based on this foundation that is it's utter crap. It's utter crap, and it's ill-defined. And this is the reason that we're led astray, is because we assume it's one of those. Well, everybody knows that piracy is a giant scourge that's taking all of our profits. So therefore, blah, blah, blah. And you can't start with that. You can't start with unsubstantiated crap like that. And that is what makes me really mad.
Yep, I agree. We could beat this story down. I don't disagree with Ari Emanuel on anything else that he wrote in that post. I think he's absolutely right that there probably is a problem of some sort, and that everybody should stop finger pointing and get together and figure it out. But the place to start is figuring out what the actual problem is, which nobody has done yet.
Absolutely.
Okay.